All right, all right, all right, all right. We are live, Anika.
Woo!
How are you doing today?
I am great. I'm great. I'm so happy that the setup is clear. It's wonderful. I'm good. I'm good.
Technology, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, here it is. This is our second installment in our relationship series, and I am so excited. So last week we had a little bit of a snafu, but this time everything is working pretty perfectly. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. And
Yes.
so we're gonna do a little bit of a reset in that we should introduce ourselves one more again and
Okay.
kind of move forward that way, get into the show topic, so forth and so on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Anika, to introduce yourself first, and
Okay.
then it's always ladies first around here. So you
Okay.
go ahead, and then I'll
Okay.
go.
Okay. Well, my name is Anika Owens. I'm a relationship therapist. I'm a mother-daughter coach, and I'm a documentarian. I've been practicing as a mental health professional because I also treat, anxiety and depression. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and I've always had a passion to see people operating in their best, mentally, physically. So hence, here I am. I was the young lady on Detroit's West Side, holding court, on my porch, trying to make sure everybody was okay. So it's always been my desire and passion to do relationship work. I was born to do this, though. I'm happy to be here. So thank you.
Yes, it is great to have you. And I am Mike Johnson. I am the owner of, or co-owner, that is, my wife, Stephanie, JL Michaels Custom Clothes, which you can see behind me. I have a mannequin here. That's our prop for the evening. People don't know this. I don't really talk about it a whole lot, but I'm also an ordained reverend, and I am the minister to men, as well as the minister to married couples at Allen Chapel, AME Church in Southeast Washington, D.C. My pastor is the Reverend Dr. Michael Lee Bell. So under my purview, my wife's purview, we actually handle weddings. We also handle, I want to call it relationship coaching. We handle, the premarital counseling and that kind of thing as well. And so just like yourself, and relationships are important to me, especially the marital relationship. This is an area where I love to operate in, where I love to provide my gifts and talents. I've been married for 30 years, been my wife for almost 40 years. We have 3 children and a grandbaby. So we have a little bit of experience in this area. Been doing this work now for almost 20 years. And so it's always a pleasure to help other couples do better. And then also be mentored by other couples who have done this a lot longer than we have. And so on tonight, as you stated earlier, our common goal is to help people become better in relationships. And so however we can do that, we want to do it. But on
Yes.
tonight, we have a very, very, very specific context we want to deal with. And we have a subject that we want to deal with. And I'll tee it up a little bit and you come in, jump in wherever you want. But you
Okay.
and I were talking, or we had this discussion about Candy and her husband,
Right.
Todd, and they're in the midst of a divorce, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty nasty divorce. And
Right.
one of the things that keeps coming up is this prenup, or the idea that they have a prenup and what's in it or
Right.
what's not in it. And so we were talking, we was like, man, this would be a great topic to talk about. And I'll let you take it from there, but it's going to be an interesting and juicy subject, I think.
Yeah. And it's sad because there's so many people that are going through this. The topic is so interesting because if she asked for a prenup, she's smart. If he asked for it, he's shady. And I think
Mhm.
historically, when you're talking about gender roles, you're always looking at the man taking care of the woman if we're following gender roles, but we're not doing that really, in life. The world is not necessarily always they want to pick and choose when they're going to follow gender roles. And so having a prenup introduced as you are about to marry can put a damper on things a little bit for some people. So in the case of Candy, she's asking for a prenup, but is he asking for one? So which means she's coming with some wealth, some things that she wants to protect, which I don't think is anything wrong with that. But on the other end, if a man is asking, it just seems a little like, what are you going to do? Are you going to abandon me? For women, it's more vulnerability. For men, it's more, are you going to leave me? Are you trying to do something, behind that's not going to be fair?
Exactly. And there are multiple cases we could look at in getting ready and preparing for tonight's episode or show. I went back and just did a little bit of recent research, and a gentleman by, I'm not sure if you know who he is, but Steven Jackson, who was in the NBA, I think for close to about 20 years. Not sure if you're familiar with his case, but he was on the precipice of getting married. I think he is now married, but not to the same young woman. And he had been talking to her about this prenup. He had been doing it for probably about a year and just
Okay.
saying to her, look, I have a prenup on the table. I'm worth so much money. You know, I got to protect my assets. I got to protect myself. Of course, I'm going to take care of you, but you got to sign this prenup. Well, time goes on, 6 months before the wedding. He's like, hey, you haven't signed it yet. What's going on? 3 months before the wedding. Listen, we're almost at the wedding day. We're spending $400,000 on this wedding. It's going to be very elaborate. We got all the stuff going on. I'm telling you, he puts his foot in the sand and says, look, here's the line. If you do not sign this prenup, we're not getting married. And Nika, on the day of the wedding, he says to her, you have not signed this prenup.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not signing it. Steven Jackson says, you know what? No problem. Wedding off. She's like,
Yeah.
what? He was like, yeah, the wedding's off. He said, now just know this. The wedding is off, but not the celebration. We still gonna party. We still gonna have a good time because everything's paid for at this point. So they go off and have this elaborate party. He has a fantastic time. And there are a lot of interviews with him. And he talks about this. He said, look, I was serious about what I said. I meant what I said. I have way too much to lose. And she knew this going into it. And I don't understand why she didn't sign it. Or if she had a problem, tell me up front so we don't even get to this point. But I'm just looking at their situation and listening to him. He was like, yeah, I'm not doing this because we get married for, let's say, 2 years. We're in this thing. And then all of a sudden it falls apart. And now you're getting half of everything I worked for since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
And is that fair?
No, it's not. I don't feel like you're a person. I get it. Let's say, I don't know the whole scenario, but if she's not working, let's say this person doesn't have a career. So the female, his fiance, she didn't have a job or anything, like she didn't have a career, and she was going to be traveling and doing all the things with him. So I would hope that he would be fair, right? But a lot of times in those situations, from a psychological perspective, there's a cognitive like distortions where in your mind, some women and some men, like for the man, he could be thinking, if this doesn't work, she's gonna take all the things that I've built up and worked so hard for. And for her, he's not gonna be fair. Whereas if we can get past those cognitive distortions and be real about it and be like, okay, you know what? He has built this legacy. He has built his empire. I definitely want what's coming to me, but I don't want anything outside of that, because if I haven't contributed to a certain part of his lifestyle or his life or his wealth, I shouldn't be entitled to that. But a lot of times people are not being fair about it. It only takes being fair. That's it. You should not get more than this required. If you haven't helped, like with Candy and Todd, she built a legacy. She has built wealth way before he came into the picture. Now, I get the things that they have acquired together. Absolutely. You split that down the middle. But even in that, he would not have gotten some of those opportunities if it wasn't for her. But it sounds like she's being fair, but it's like he's been a little greedy.
Well, see, now here we go. This is where we're going to get into it. Because what's greedy? Because, so from what I understand, I'm not sure what all the details actually are, but from what I understand, she was absolutely wealthy before they got together. However, they did amass quite a bit of wealth after he came aboard with her. And it was because he was able to help her make some introductions that she couldn't get and help her get to some places she just couldn't get to for whatever reason. He helped her put the pieces in place. He did a whole bunch of other stuff behind the scenes. And his argument, and I have seen this, he's like, well, Candy, you can't run off and do all this stuff in New York, LA, abroad, wherever, if somebody isn't home without kids. So I had to take a step back and talk about gender roles. I took a step back to take care of the kids, to take care of the house, to make sure all of that was straight so that you could go do the other part, right? And that you were now the breadwinner because you were able to do it. You had the momentum, you had everything that was required to do it. And obviously he didn't. but somebody's got to take care of their household, their kids, and all these other things. And this is the same argument that any woman probably would have, and the saying, hey, look, how can you be the person you are without me doing all of these things? Which to me is fair. So I don't know how it shakes out where or what the percentages are going to wind up being, but it looks like he may be able to get more than what we thought. It's looking now like he might get 50%. And here again is where I see a lot of women upset about this because they're like, why is the judge or why would a judge even entertain that? And I guess in this sense and in all other cases like this, I say the same thing about men. For example, Tyreek Hill. I'm not sure if you know who Tyreek Hill is, but he played for the Miami Dolphins. He was married to his wife, I think, for 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years. They get divorced, and Nika, this woman gets half of everything. She's getting all of these. I mean, it's just unreasonable. Like these $500,000 a month, these cars, houses, all these other things. Excuse me, once I got cars, houses, and all these other things. And he's saying, "Hey, how is this fair? Like this just is not fair." Oh, sorry about that. This isn't fair that you would award her all these different things. And we've only been together for 2 years. And this is where men have a real problem with getting married now. And this is where I'm like, man, it's tough for me to defend something like that when I know, these guys have worked all their lives for these different things. And now, there's my light again. Oh, okay, there we go. And now here it is. He's going to lose all of this money, all these assets. And a lot of men are saying, see, look at Tyreek Hill. This is the reason why I don't want to get married. This is the whole reason why I'm like, I'm going to stay single for the rest of my life because this could happen to me. And it's happened to countless other men as well. Not to say women don't endure this because there are some women, but men have endured this and they're saying, hey, I don't want to, I don't want this kind of problem.
But when you think about it though, we don't know all the details of the why they're getting divorced. The person you marry versus the person you divorce, they are two totally different emotionally people at that, right? You're one way when you're about to get married emotionally, then you're another way when you're about to get a divorce. And so a lot of times, let's say there were some affairs, and not excusing being unfair, but a lot of times people want that person to hurt. I'm gonna tap you in your pockets. Since you did A, B, and C, I want you to hurt like I hurt.
Right.
And, I mean, it's not fair. So I often like to go through like the three components of your personality: the id, the ego, and the super ego. And a lot of times the id is like, gimme, gimme, gimme. I want. That's what you. And then the ego is more reality. Like, you know what, this is what I deserve. And, but a lot of people, when they're getting a divorce, they're operating in the id. I just want everything that's coming to me. I want it. I don't care how it impacts you. I'm just going to get it. But when you're about to get married, it's more ego, it's more reality. But when the people get divorced, just like I said, with the whole emotionally, how different you are, and you don't know what happened behind the scenes, why a person is behaving the way that they do. It's like, I want you to hurt. I want you to believe. I want you to say mercy. So nobody is necessarily being rational and fair at that point, because whatever you did, I'm about to really stick it to you. And so it's not fair. It's not fair. 2 years into a marriage, yes, she should get, I don't know if they have kids. Even after 2 years, you can't get alimony. You can't get anything like that. What is that, 10 years?
She did. She got it. She got alimony.
Got alimony?
And, yes, and child support too.
Well, she should get, but my thing is, if a person is taking care of their kids, why is child support a thing? I mean, that's
another day, another subject. Ooh.
Yeah, it is. But okay. But yeah, so I just feel like people are totally different people. We don't know what happens behind the scenes, why people decide I'm going to, make you bleed like I'm bleeding. And operating out of emotions and not out of fairness. Id.
Yeah. And what's happening with this, see, this is the problem that I see and I have with this is that we're now missing out on opportunities for families, right? And we know that we do well when we marry. When you marry, you live longer, especially for men, you live longer. The opportunity for wealth or to do better in general is a big deal. Same thing for women as well. But when we have these broken homes like this, a lot of things can go left to go sideways. and just not having to get married at all. And then there's the other thing where you see a lot of black men, especially now, they're saying, I'm not even going to marry a black woman because you
Oh,
know the propensity, or there's a higher chance that I'm going to get divorced, I'm going to get taken advantage of, I'm not going to be treated well. It's all of these other different things that come along. I don't know if that's another subject for another day as well,
no,
but
but that's right though. Those are cognitive distortions that I talk about. When we get stuck in those negative thinking patterns,
mhm,
talk ourselves out of things. We talk ourselves out of things, and we're not always fair because,
right.
like, some people, they look at one situation and they overgeneralize, like, okay, my situation gonna be like that. I don't want to get caught up like he got caught up. It doesn't have to be that.
Yep. So how do we fix that? Or like what, in your opinion, because you're the expert here, more of an expert than I am, how do we fix this? How do we get men and women to see, first of all, let's be fair. If we know this relationship is coming to an end, obviously, you getting 70% of something you didn't work for, even 50% of something you didn't work for, even a man on the other side saying, I want 100%, 80%, whatever the case is. How do we fix this so that we, at least if we're going to go, if we're going to end the relationship, that we end it on a good note, one, and then two, it's where everybody feels like they came out of this, I guess as less scarred as possible, but financially, especially, that it was equal.
Wow. But you know what? I think, Michael, really feel like it's how we're raised, it's how we're brought up,
Mm,
right? If you're brought up, and I'm just so curious. I don't want to stereotype, but when I think about the men that are going after the women's money, and women who are going after the men money unfairly, I often
thank
ask
you.
myself,
Hmm.
I often ask myself, like, was there a balance in the household of a man's perspective and a female's perspective, or was it a single parent household? And what was the,
Mm,
because I think a lot of times it starts, from infancy, right? Like how your thinking patterns are, your nature versus nurture. It's just like, what
hmm.
are you exposed to cause you to think that way? Because it's not fair. I don't care how much you hurt, you still should have some kind of moral compass, like
Mm,
right or wrong, good or bad. But a lot of people don't have that. So if you grew up in a situation where, you're taught to be selfish, whether it's implicit or explicit, you're taught to be that way, then you don't know nothing else. Because when you think about Todd, if you look at some of the clips, I don't know if you watched the some of the clips of Housewives, he was saying, look, I don't want Candy's money. I don't want her money. I don't
he
want her.
did say that.
He
Yep.
kept saying that. And, he had all this time to sign the prenup, and he
Mm,
waited and waited. So I don't know, just like other women, they wait and wait and wait.
mm,
So are you
mhm.
thinking they're going to change their minds, or like, no, they're pretty serious about you signing this prenup, because Candy said, listen, if you don't sign, there won't be a wedding. So
Yep.
I feel like, to answer your question, Michael, I really feel like it starts in the home in terms of what is the messaging at home. And because it becomes normalized and people don't necessarily see, again, that moral compass is not there to do the right thing. It's already, you're operating out of the id. Gimme, 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 gimme. I don't care about you.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I always wondered that. But when you look at it, a lot of times, to your point, it seems as though these people, I don't want to say these people, but these persons involved, they are coming from single parent households, right? So where there may have been lack, where there may not have been as much finance in the household, maybe even poor. Because a lot of us, let's be honest, a lot of us do grow up poor. I'll put myself in there. I mean, I didn't grow up with what I have now. I didn't grow up with any kind of money in my household. In fact, I might be one of the first ones in my family to really kind of get to where we are today. And that's not a bad thing, because I know my kids coming behind me, they're already doing better than I did. So, we're setting a new precedent. But without having that male perspective, I think you're right. That is the case. I mean, why would you want to see a person suffer like that and take all of their resources? I get you're hurt. I get that whatever may have happened. But to destroy a person, think about if the shoe were on the other foot, or if it were another woman. Because I do hear a lot of women, they're pissed off with Todd right now. They're like, how could he do this to her? Why would he take her money and this? And I say, well, if we just remove the labels, the man or woman, that happens every single day to men. Men
Yeah.
are getting killed every single day, and these courts aren't thinking twice about giving 50, 60, 70%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it just boils down to it's just like again, you just never know. Um, I guess when you think about loving somebody, like how does that love, transfer over to now I want to see you in pain. I want to
Mm,
see you suffer. It's just like love is not a switch. So I question when these things happen, the prenup is now some prenups are being challenged. How can you
mhm,
the prenup? So what's the point of it if it's going to be challenged? It's just like, okay, you signed it. You say you didn't want her money, or you say you didn't want his money. So what's the issue now? Now that we are now the fact that we got to use it, enforce it. Why are you challenging it? So that's what I don't understand. It's like you love somebody, then that switch just goes off immediately, or maybe it's just been coming, gradually. But that's what I don't get. How
but you
people
know
can
what? You just said
stop loving.
something, and you did this last week too. It just made me think. You do a lot. You say a lot of things that it makes me think.
Oh, thanks,
Was it
brother.
ever love,
Yeah,
right? Or was it? It's an opportunity. And that's sometimes when I look at these situations, I think to myself, it was never love that was involved. It was always an opportunity. It was transactional, right? I did something to help you do this. And then now in return, I'm going to get this, or I expect this, or I
hmm
want this, or whatever the case is. I don't know. When I look at Candy and I look at, Todd, I'll be honest with you. I always ask myself, did they love each other?
yeah,
I, mean, I can't. I mean, that's a question. I can't say that they did or didn't, but it's just a question. Did they love each other? Did they ever love each other? Like
right.
I mean, I don't know. It just didn't, in my opinion, and this could be wrong all day long, but this didn't seem like it to me.
Yeah, like you said, it's just the opportunity. It's just like that's what a lot of people were saying, that he was an opportunist. But I think the thing is, people don't go into relationships fighting, because hard times are going to happen. You're going to
Yeah,
have some challenging times. And I feel like that's just people's go to. Let's get a divorce. Let's separate. No, I
yep,
get that. Some cases, there's no other choice. You have to divorce. You got to separate if there's a safety issue. But with Todd and Candy, they invited some energies into their relationship,
ooh, we.
right? Right,
Let's
Michael? They
talk about it.
invited.
Let's talk about it.
Talk about what they invited, though.
Well, I'll let you start, and I'll jump in.
Well, they invited threesomes, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
nothing good, in my opinion, can come from that. That's a recipe for disaster. I'm
You
not
know,
sharing with nobody. That is insane.
but you know what? Here, this is what I've come to know and come to learn. Different strokes for different folks.
I
Like
know.
I don't want to tell you how to regulate your bedroom or how you do what you do. Threesomes, foursomes, whatever the case might be. Now, for me personally, I'm like you, Nika. There's no way I would do that. I
Mm-mm.
couldn't even imagine doing something like that. But for some people, that's just a way of life. That's just the normal walk in the park for them. And that's
Yeah,
what they do. But I do believe that that was part of the problem because, and I think it will always be part of the problem if you do that because now you've invited this third person into your relationship.
yep.
And now, you know what you're saying? Well, if I had a third, why not a fourth? Why not a fifth? Why not a sixth? And you know what? If you allowed it, I don't necessarily have to talk to you about this again because we've already talked about this once. Like we already entertained this. So you can't be mad at me for going out and doing a little bit more of this because we already started it. And so
Right.
now, there's a whole bunch of this, that, and the other. And I don't agree with it. But again, that was their marriage. And for them, it worked for a long time. As a matter of fact, I don't know how true it is, but they're saying this woman, this one woman, I guess that they started with, Candy is now in relationship with.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is either. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly, they're
Thank you.
together. I don't know if we
Yeah,
have to use that term,
allegedly.
but I don't want to be spreading. I haven't heard.
Yeah, no, 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 exactly. Allegedly. So, but
Right.
the point being is they like you said, they've allowed this other entity into their home, into their private space, and now you got all of these issues. And that's not to say that all the issues started there or in there, but obviously that's now become a problem.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Michael? You feel like people have a right to ask for prenups?
I
If
do.
You do? Why?
I do. I do because I just know that a lot of times people come into situations with a lot where the other person doesn't really. And it would be tough for me. I'm just speaking for me. It'd be tough for me to marry someone who who may not have had the same level of finances that I do or resources that I do,
Mhm.
and not have a prenup. I mean, I told my wife, I said, if something ever happened to her, I would never get married again. I wouldn't. And it would
Mm,
be probably partly because of that. When I talk to or I coach married couples, we always talk to them from a level of trust. And, marriage, that's the foundation. If you can't trust someone with pretty much everything, then why even get married to them?
yeah.
And so I start there and in there. I'm like, I don't know that I could trust anyone like I trust my wife because we built
Yeah.
this together, right? It's different when you build something together, when you have nothing and then you grow it to something. That's
Yeah.
different than you having something and somebody has nothing and
Right.
walk into a situation where there's everything. Like you walk, like imagine being, I literally drove to the project, picked you up and took you to a mansion. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I don't know. I would ask for a prenup, and I suggest, to be honest with you, and sometimes in these married couples, I suggest it.
Yeah. Yeah. But what are we protecting besides money? Because what if you don't have money? Let's just say you have
Oh,
a
that's
nice
different.
home, you have a nice home, you have a nice car. Like, you know, you have things. You have a savings account, but I mean, do
Mhm.
you suggest that everybody enter into
Um,
some kind of prenuptial agreement? Because everything doesn't have to be measured in
no,
finances.
not everyone, but if you have a good amount of research. So, for instance, let's say you aren't wealthy, but your 401k, you might have a half a million, 600,000 in your 401k, right?
Yeah.
You get married, then your spouse is now entitled to part of that 401k.
Yeah.
And let's just say they, again, they don't have a lot of resources. And here it is, they get part of this. Now, if you've been married for 10, 15, 20 years, I think that's a lot different.
Hmm.
That's completely different. You married for 2 years, 3 years, and now you want half of my 401k. I worked 30 years to build this. Nika, that's tough.
That is tough, but I really feel like some people are basing it on I want to see you suffer. I want to take you. I guess it really depends on also like, what state you're in, but
Hmm.
it's just like that level of that mindset of I want to see you suffer. I want to see you hurt because I'm hurting. I just feel like, when you go if you're going through a divorce, nothing should be enforced for, I would say, let's say 6 months, because the emotions are still so high that
Mm,
you're going to make emotional decisions. Either
hmm.
you're going to get what's coming to you're not going to get what's fair, or you're going to get what's unfair. So it can go both ways. And so I feel like the stakes are so high, when you are on the cuffs of getting a divorce. And I just feel like sometimes making those decisions in the heat of it, it can be too soon. Like seem like timbers need to just kind of come down a bit. Let's move out. Let's organize some things, because if you're trying to make decisions, like you got to make decisions right now. Everybody is just like immediate. It got to happen now, now, now. I just feel like you're going to make some bad decisions, and they're not going
Yeah,
to, either they're going to favor you or not going to favor you. So I feel like people should just kind of slow down. I wish it could be that way. I'm sure when people get married, they're in a bad situation. They just want out. They want to be out of that situation, and I can understand that. But
yeah.
my husband, like I said, when we married, he had way more than me. That wasn't even a question. He didn't. I mean, and I'm thinking if he had asked me to do that, the thing with my husband, what he did was, even before we got married, he put me on his life insurance. He
Wow.
said, he said, God forbid something happens to me before we get married, I want you to be taken care of. And I was like, whoa. So that thought of him, actually, it's kind of brought tears to my eyes, because it was just like, whoa. That question never came up. Like,
Wow.
and he has, he has more than me, but now it's us, right?
Right,
Oh,
right, right.
us. But that never came up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
It is
yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been with my wife for so long. That was never a question for me in marrying her. That's never ever been a question. But again, we've been together for so long, and the two of us, we didn't have anything. We built this together, so it was
different.
never a reason to say, "Hey, let's get this prenup," or "I want a prenup." I would love to hear from other people that to figure out whether or not a prenup is mandatory. Like,
Yeah.
is that the thing? Like, if you said, "Hey, I want this prenup," if the person said no, would you still marry them, or would you be like, "Hey, I told you I have to have
Wow,
this"?
that's a good question.
Yeah, yeah, I would
That,
love
that's
to know that answer.
on this end, Michael. I can't see um, if people are in or asking questions.
I don't see. I see. I thought I saw a couple people, and then I don't see any questions. So if you guys have any questions, please ask us. We would love to answer the questions for you. So jump on in. Feel free to ask. We would love to hear from you. But yeah, nowadays, for all the guys that I know who have any amount of substance, they all say the same thing. Prenup
Right.
is mandatory.
Yeah.
It's that or nothing.
Right.
Yeah. How about the ladies that you know? Are they the same way? The ones, especially the ones who have money or who have some resources.
I'm trying to think. I think about a few friends that have, wealth. I mean, I don't know because it's not something we even talk about. If they would
Mm,
actually require that, um,
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know that if they are in, like I said, I can't see on this end who's joined, but yeah, it's not something. I guess we just didn't grow up, you know, really concerned about that. Somebody
Yeah.
taking money or I don't know. But when you think about it, it's just like if a man or a woman is challenging a prenup, it's obvious that they're at a deficit, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like you must don't have money, right? You must need my money. And so when you think about the couples who are both wealthy, like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
like what was the situation with them? It's just like you take your stuff and I take my stuff, and that's it, because they're both very wealthy. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
when you both come in the situation with wealth, like how does that work?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd love to know that. I know he had to, of course, child support he had to do.
But why?
But I'm not sure about
Why?
alimony and the rest of the stuff. I think he had to pay for a house or some other, all that kind of stuff that you normally would do. But in
Yeah,
terms of like spousal support, like she may have been at one point wealthier than he was, just because of where he was when they got divorced.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I think if I had to go back and my husband had asked me to sign one, I would have.
Oh, you
You know,
would?
yeah.
Okay.
If he had asked me, I
Mm-hmm.
think I because I don't. It's just like car. What they say it's just like car insurance. You get it just in case. You may
Yeah.
not never have to cash in on it, but you
Yeah.
get it in case. And you know, I guess I grew up. You know, just being fair. I can't imagine. One was coming to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want was fair, but just to rip somebody, just like the whole child support thing. I just want to touch
Mm.
on a little bit, only because he's also asking in there like for full custody, and she got to pay child support.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like if you're taking care of your kids, like you do your part, I do my part. So
Mm. Mm.
I don't really understand that piece either. I'm just because I know women who have the child support situation. It can be a little unfair, especially
Yeah.
man that's really 100% a part of his kid's life. It's just like so in
Yeah.
the prenup, I guess in their prenup, it was I don't know how it was written. I don't know if they were going to have kids. They were planning to have kids, but I'm not really sure. What he's asking for. He's asking for full custody, right? Because
I
she's all
believe he is. And honestly, that's probably the right thing to do in their case. Only
right.
because Candy is like, I mean, she's a worker bee, right?
Yeah.
She stays on the go. I mean, she's even admitted that, this is my life, this is what I do. And this is how I move. I don't have time to be the regular mom. I'm not getting in the pickup line and dropping off lunches and
Wow.
I'll cater the lunch. You know, I'll get a bus line for the kids
Yeah,
or
but that's
whatever. But
that just seems like, and I get it. If it makes sense to do that, if that's how it's written in the prenup, if it makes sense for him to get full custody, or why not just share custody? I mean, I get if she's a working mom.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, that would just be. And again,
I
who's
don't know. I don't know if she's bucking on that. I don't know. I don't. I guess I got to do a little bit more research there because I'm not sure if she's against him having full custody.
yeah,
But I know when you have full custody, you do get you get more money because you get
yeah,
spousal support. You can get child support as well.
yeah,
You got to be able to take care of the kids at a standard of where they are today, and to make sure that that level stays where it is, that it doesn't drop.
yeah.
So
That's tough. That's tough. It's just
yeah,
when you see a lot of the couples who are like Megan the Stallion and Clay, and you
yeah,
have Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey, they are so in love. And I just look at that and I just feel like some people don't have the stick and stay
mm,
ability. It's just like they're having fun. As long as you having fun in some relationship, we good. The minute we're not having fun, whatever the case may be that causes you not to have fun anymore, people just check out. And it's just like it's not gonna always be fun. It's
no,
gonna be
you're right.
sometimes he gonna irritate you, she gonna irritate you. You're not gonna like them sometimes. It's all those things, but I think sometimes people have this idea of people don't know how to work through things. And I don't know what their situation was in terms of like Candy and Todd. I don't know if they,
Mhm.
but as a relationship therapist, I can honestly say that you have some people when they come to therapy, I say to myself, I can't tell them they shouldn't get married, right? But I say to myself, man, the way they're interacting, they're not gonna make it.
Mhm.
You probably see it too, and when
I do. I do. It's funny you say that because I can't tell someone not to get married, but what I do at the beginning, I tell them it's not my job whether or not to say you should or shouldn't. My
yes,
job is to help you present all the things, the issues, all of the whatever. Let's bring it all to the table, and then you have to look at it based on what's been presented and figure out is this going to be a good deal for you or not a good deal for you.
yeah, but you
And
kind of
I would never say you should or shouldn't, except that when there's abuse involved in a relationship. Anytime there's abuse involved, the answer is always no. In fact, I end the relationship myself because I'm like, I can't take part or be part of something knowing that there's some form of abuse, whether it's verbal, mental, physical, whatever it might be. At
yeah,
that point, I'm off. And I've only had that one time happen to me. And I told the couple when I heard about it the first time, I was like, okay, what's going on here? And the young lady wouldn't really speak up a little bit. And then the second time they were both with me and I could see the aggression in him. And I told them at that point, I said, we're done. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, I can't marry you. Right. And they were upset with me both. I was like, I can't marry you because of what I've seen, what I witnessed, and what I believe. I said, now you can go above my head and go to the pastor and ask him if he'll marry you. But just know this, I'm going to go to him first and tell him what I've seen. And then
well, no,
sure, he can make that decision. But for me, I'm telling you right now, I would never marry you.
oh
And
wow,
so, yeah, the guy got real mad at me. And I was like, I'm not sure what that means, but I just can't do it.
yeah, that's a hard spot to be in. Wow, but I get
Nah,
not for you.
wasn't hard at all.
Not you say not at all.
Nope, not at all. You know why? Because I could look at it like that. It could be my mother, my sister, my aunt, my niece, my daughter. When I put it in that perspective, it makes it very easy for me. And I'm not a man that would raise my hand at a woman or something like that. So it makes it easy for me to say, yeah, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, that
And
makes
and and at that point, I say to them, I don't think you should get married. There's some things obviously that are not right here that one or the both of you need to go work on, and maybe later. But I told him, I said, even later, I still, for me personally, I'm out.
yeah. That's okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Um, it's so sad though that we should have something where there is divorce. Well, I'm sure there is divorce prevention. When you
Oh,
counsel,
sure.
at
Yeah.
this time, people are who they are.
Yeah.
They just are who they're. Either they're gonna fight or they're not gonna fight. When they get
Hmm.
tough, they out. So you think about people's attachment styles. You know, if if I'm dismissive or anxious or preoccupied or insecure, attached to someone, as soon as something happens, a lot of people don't have secure attachment styles. So when things get a little shaky and uncomfortable, they're out. So you have a
Yeah.
lot of people are just operating in the here and now. I love this person right now. We're getting along right now, you know, but as soon as something, as soon as the relationship is shaken up, they're out. And it's just
Yeah.
like, how do people, like, why get married? It's just like, I can't
It's
understand.
the
It's just,
fantasy. It's like when I talk to people, I get married sometimes. It's that whole fantasy of I always wanted to be married. I can see myself walking to the out. And what I have to tell people, Anika, is this. There are two things that are happening here. You have to understand this. There's a wedding and there's a marriage. The wedding is one day. And it's not even one day. It's about 45 minutes,
yeah,
literally. Right? That's the wedding. But what you've done is you made the wedding the actual marriage. So you
yeah,
don't understand that
no.
you conflate the two things and you think they're one and not. They're two different things. The wedding is easy to get to. It's easy to do that. The marriage is the part.
Ooh,
That's the hard part, right? Because
that's
that's forever. There's a
right.
lot that goes into that. Getting married just simply coming in front of maybe 2 or 3 people at the least, or 2 or 300, 2 or 3,000 people and saying, yes, I do. Then you go party. Okay, after the party, then what?
Yeah, you are right about that. You said that,
Yeah.
right on the head, because you're right. It's just like people are so excited for the wedding, but once you have to work the marriage piece of it, people
And
are
you know
just
what's you just made me think about something else that's so interesting because when I sit down and talk to couples about this, they're willing to spend upwards of $100,000 to get married and $20 to go get counseling, or none,
oh my, oh my God,
none.
that is
I
so
mean,
true.
zero.
I'm telling that. Oh, that's a good point. When I tell people, because this is the fee for marital counseling, it's like you got to incorporate that in all the wedding planning that you're doing, and
Yep.
put that in your budget. Okay, you want to
Yeah.
pay all this money on food and
Uh
dresses,
huh.
cars,
Uh
and vacations, and none of those things are going to sustain you, like what I'm going to
Correct.
hopefully try to give you, and hopefully you take it in and utilize it. Right. So that's a good point.
Yeah. I tell people it's like buying a new car, right? You buy the car, you're happy with it, but eventually it's going to break down. So you got to get maintenance, or
Yep.
you do preventive maintenance,
Yep.
right? So you go see someone when there's an early warning sign that, okay, the check engine light just came on. The engine ain't dead. It's just letting you know there's some problems. You better go get it fixed, go get it looked at, right?
Yep.
And
Who
people
knows?
don't want to, they don't want to invest in it. They don't believe in it. Like, well, I could pray over it. And I tell people, because listen, I am an ordained reverend. I'm not like just on paper, internet. I had to go through a whole process.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more than prayer that's required. Of course, we want you to pray. Of course, we want you to see God, but God has also given us intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And he's given enough wisdom to know that yes, you can pray, but you should also seek out professionals that he created to help you with this issue.
Yeah.
And so, just like a doctor, you aren't going to say, I'm not going to go to a doctor if you get sick. You just going to pray. No, of course you're going to pray. But if you got a
Right.
broken leg, you got to go see a doctor to help you get that leg fixed.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. But we got to get people, and I know we probably got to wrap it up here in a little bit, Michael.
Yep. And
But
about,
the
let's say we got about 2 minutes.
okay. But the reality is also we got to get people get into relationships. Like I don't
Mm,
know if you have like on your end, like you mentor single men, but we have a lot of men and women who are just so afraid to be in
hmm
relationships. We can't even get people in relationships because they don't want to do
hmm
the work, because they're so afraid. It's like, what can we do? Because I love these talks, but I think at the end of the day, there are a group of men and women who want to be in a relationship and they want to get it right. Um,
hmm
and it's like we got to keep building on this, because I want to produce some results. I want to not only have these
Agreed.
discussions, but also help bring men and women together that want to be married, that want to do the work. Like how do we, so I just want to leave you with that. This discussion was amazing, but I think at the end of the day, people are tired of just talking.
Yeah.
Action.
Yeah. I think, and this is for a later discussion, but I think, because I've done these before, you might want to start, or we may want to start thinking about doing retreats and live discussions about this with people. to introduce them to other people who want to be married. Because guess what? What sense does it make to have people in a room who have two different agendas? Right?
That's
We don't want you in a room with somebody who don't want to get married, and then you lead them down a pathway where they think they're getting married, and there's no pathway to marriage, right? Where there are people out here who are saying, listen, it won't take me long. If I meet you today in 6 months, I know I'm ready. That's what you said anyway.
oh yeah.
Listen, I agree with you though. I'm just saying you said that, you voiced it, and I agree with you. But there's some people who say, let me tell you something, nigga. I know some folks who have been engaged for years. They're never getting married. The woman might think they're getting married, but the man is like, I only put a ring on your finger to shut you up.
What?
Right? Oh, absolutely. That's another discussion for another day.
Yeah.
Right?
We need
But
to get.
that's the reality.
Yeah.
And guess what? She's okay with that because her friends see her with this ring on. You know, there's the promise of marriage, and it looks good. It looks good,
Wow.
right? It looks good. So, in any event, I'll let you close us out if you don't mind.
Well, this was just amazing. I just feel like it's important for us to know who we're marrying, right? I don't think it's anything wrong with the prenuptial agreement. I
Mhm,
think careful of not overstating or overthinking the whole process of a prenuptial agreement. I think
mhm.
women both have a right to ask for it.
Yep.
It's not that a woman can and a man can't. I don't feel
Mhm.
like, especially if there's no hidden agendas. I feel like, if you want to marry this person, that's what they're requesting of you. Guess what? If there's no hidden agendas, why not just sign it? It's fun.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think both have the right to ask for it. And guess what? I believe they have the right to step away from the whole thing if you don't, if the person says, hey, I don't want to do it. And that's okay too,
Yeah.
right? At least you know what the person is in it for. Either they are or they aren't. And you don't want somebody to marry you and they really don't want to be married to you because, in our eyes, and I'm speaking for you here, marriage is a lifelong commitment.
Yes, it
There are going to
is.
be some good days. There are going to be some bad days. There are going to be some days when you're up. There are going to be some days when you're down.
Yeah.
I want you to be there with me through the whole thing,
The
not just
whole.
when I'm up.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I think this
So
was a
listen,
great.
guys. Yeah. I'll just say this part. Listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you'll tune in. We'll be back in 2 weeks and we'll have something juicy for us to talk about. We haven't decided yet what the title is going to be, but as for tonight, we really would love to get your comments. We're going to have this post up, so you'll be able to leave your comments for, I think it's like 60 days, 80 days, something, 90 days, something like that. So
Okay.
we love to hear from you. We are going to respond to your questions. If you want to hit either one of us up, Nika, you want to give out your social media?
Well, it's just like my first and first and last name, Nika J Owens. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and it's just my first and last name, or my first, middle initial, and last name.
Got
Yeah.
it. And you can hit me up at Michael L. Johnson right here on Facebook, and I'll answer your questions as well. Listen, it's been fun. We're coming back. We're just getting started.
Yes, we are.
We hope you enjoy the content. We want you to give us feedback. Let us know if it's something you love for us to talk about. We would love to talk about it. Relationships are important to the both of us. We're both been married for some time. We want to see you married. We want to see you married. We want to see you married. Marriage is wonderful. If
Yes,
nothing
it is.
else, I think the both of us would agree that marriage is a beautiful thing when done right. Even when done wrong, it's still a beautiful thing because you're going through it together to get to the right. So we want to help you get to that place where you want to be, especially if you want to be married. If you don't want to be married, that's okay too.
Yep.
But here we're advocating for strong relationships and strong marriages. So tune in 2 weeks. We'll be back. Thank you so
Woohoo!
much.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank
See
you.
you later.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nika. Have
Okay.
a good
See you later.
one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.